Hi, welcome back to Beyond the Cards. It's my great pleasure and honor today to have Patrick Valenza here, author, creator, artist of Deviant Moon, Tarot, and more. And welcome, Patrick.
Oh, thank you, Allison. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's been a long time. I saw you last 6 years ago, and time has been flying.
I know, we were just reminiscing that we were together in 2016, and we just can't believe that it's been 6 years since we've seen each other, and got to hang out and do the U.S. Games thing together. What's been happening, Pat, in all of that time? Give us an update.
About that time was when the Deviant Moon book came out. And since then, I did a transformation playing card deck for U.S. Game. I'm still working on the Deviant Moon Oracle. That's piece by piece. As the ideas come to me, I'll finish a card. It hasn't come as quickly as the Deviant Moon Tarot did. The Oracle's taking a lot longer. And in between that, I've built up my own company on the side with a lot of Oracle decks, different kinds of projects like that. And right now I'm about to retire from teaching, and I'll be able to do the Deviant Moon Oracle full time and really hit everything without any restraints anymore on my time. So that will be something I'm really looking forward to doing right now.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm gonna backtrack, but I do love that that your retirement is coming up, and that opens that opportunity, that doorway for more of your creative expression. Certainly more time to do that. But let's wind back in time, because I don't have a bio to read for you. Usually give a little blurb. I can say Patrick's from Long Island, and he grew up in Valley Stream. I know that. And but tell us a little bit more about how you got started with art. Obviously, quite so talented. And then we'll talk a little bit more about your Deviant Moon and the subjects that you're drawn to.
Okay, sure. I first discovered tarot at the age of, I think it was 8 or 9 I was, and I saw the tarot cards in a old stationery store in the back of some creepy old mall back here on Long Island. And when I saw them, there was like an instant magnetism to them. I always wanted to learn about them and design my own tarot cards, which I did as a kid. I actually found a couple of old drawings I did. Maybe I was 10 years old, of the Fool and the Hangman. I've been posting a couple of those online. I used to do those throughout my teenage years, and I kind of put them away after a while and went on to other things. And then when I was close to 40, I really wanted to go back to those old drawings that I did as a child and reimagine them and redo them or complete that project. And that's where the Deviant Moon came in. Most of it is based and actually just traced over some of the old drawings I did as a teenager and adolescent back then.
Oh, wow. So that's incredible. So you had already created or already got the inspiration for that card deck years and years prior to actually manifesting it. And how did you, I know I've asked you this, but not publicly. And I'm so fascinated with it. How did you imagine or see or come up with the images that are, in the Deviant Moon and in your other work as well?
As a kid, I lived in a creepy old apartment, which you know very well. It was called Fenwood. And what's great is that you were the only person I ever met who lived in that same apartment. And so I would be sitting alone in my bedroom at night, and the windows were old, and you'd look outside, and there would be all smokestacks and other windows and bricks and all kinds of strange stairs and weird sounds. And I'd be all alone in my little room, just drawing little characters and getting the whole vibe and the energy of that place, which I now term as Fenwood Asylum, which is what is the world that I encapsulate all my little ideas into. And just being able to create as a kid uh, without anybody telling me how to create. Being all alone, my parents left me to my own devices, so I would just pick up all of those kind of feelings and put those into my artwork as a kid. And as a child, I wasn't trying to draw to be good. I was trying to draw to get the feelings that I had out. Art afterthought. Like, I never considered myself an artist. I built up skills over the years because I was doing it so much. But again, the goal was to get the ideas out that I had in my head. And the ideas that I had were never really based on artistic role models. They were always other things, like old movies, like the Nosferatu movies, or just the feeling in the early and mid 70s of the spiritualism movies that were out, and the literature that was out at the time. I used to love ghost stories, telling stories with my friends, and playing a lot. That was another thing. I was allowed to play as a kid. We would go into cemeteries that were nearby. There were no parks where I was. It was easier to just run around the grounds of a cemetery. We were always respectful, but we loved to explore that stuff. So all of those non-artistic things are what really came together and came out artistically, without that being the intent to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it was a kind of a creepier time, truthfully, because I think we're about the same age, and I'll tell the story about how I know about Fenwood. But when I was a kid, my brother would be like, "Let's watch Creature Feature." Do you remember Creature Feature? And or whatever scary thing was on. And of course, I was scared to death of it. And then he would be like, "Let's watch the scariest show we could find." And then he would hide in my closet with the flashlight when I went to bed, and come out and like literally scare the life out of me. And so it was just, but it was just like more, there was a lot more, there was no internet. We were entertaining ourselves with this stuff. So I totally get what you were saying. And also there was that a little bit more freedom in time to be a kid and to play and explore and be creative. So I totally relate to that story. I have to tell our coming together story, which ties into where you grew up, because when we first met and you were talking about, I got the hint of Fenwood, and you talked about Valley Stream, and you talked about the creepy apartment. I was like, I lived in that apartment complex, and I always felt like creeped out in there. I was always looking out the window, or I don't know. And my husband was traveling when we were like newly married, and I lived in there. And then when I heard that all of those creative inspirations came out of that place, I was like, oh my God, those ghosts probably were there. So, it's just funny that we had that parallel, that we both lived in that same place, probably a couple of doors down. You were long gone, but I was experiencing it. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, interesting. So when did you take your art, this art that you have been working on, and how did it come together with US Games? Like, how did that all evolve?
Well, that was, I would always produce projects for myself and then put them away, and then start another project and put it away. Like, never really tried to do anything with it. In the early 90s, I went around Manhattan with a children's book portfolio. As I look back now, that was so like not what I needed to do. I needed to, it wasn't professional enough. In a way, it might have been too professional. Actually, somebody told me that one time. She said that the artwork was too advanced for the children's books they were producing at the time. So I had all these really detailed colored pencil drawings. I didn't photograph them the right way. And so that was my only attempt at trying to get my work published or anything like that. So everything was for myself. Like, I was not concerned about publishing. Like, it was something I wanted to do, but it wasn't like the goal. So I would work sometimes 8 months on a drawing without, having any timeline. I would just, pour all this time and energy into it. And so I was getting near 40, and I'm like, I haven't done anything. Like, I've drawn for thousands of hours, but I haven't done anything with it. And I'm getting older, and I really need to like focus on one thing. So I said, I'll go back in time. I'll work on that tarot project that I always wanted to do. It was like a life goal for me to do that. I went and I completed the major arcana. It was 22 cards. It took me 2 years to do it. And I was right about to put it away. Again, I was like, well, I finished it, but I kind of finished it for me. I achieved that goal, and I'll put it away and let's move on. And then on one of the tarot forums back then, this was in 2006, I think it was. Someone had the address to U.S. Games for submission, and you're limited by your beliefs. I believed that was impossible. There's no way anybody's going to publish this deck, and I know U.S. Games must get thousands, millions of submissions a day. To me, it felt like anyway. But I said, there's the address. All I have to do is send the CD in with all the images, and let's just see what happens. I had no expectations. I put it out there, and I think it was either the next day or the day after I got an email from Bobby at U.S. Games, and they wanted to give me a contract, and I didn't even finish the minor arcana yet. I just had a couple ideas, and I was shocked. I was like, really? Like, I couldn't believe it. And after that, it changed my belief structure, like instantly. Like, what else can I do? What else would happen without even trying to go for it? To put your stuff out there, to put your work out there, and just see what happens. Don't worry about rejection, or just put it out there, see what happens. And that's, once that changed, my whole life changed. Everything changed. How I do my artwork, how I present my artwork. I'll just put it out there. I don't care if it's good, bad, whatever. I'm going to put it out there. But it can never be bad, because it's always the best that I do. So that's how I got started with U.S. Games. And then I finished the minor arcana after I got the contract within a year. So I did 56, where it had previously took me 2 years to do 22. Now it took me 1 year to do 56. And now I can do 56 cards literally in 2 months. Wow. It just changed. It changed how I work, changed how I structure my time, became from an amateur to a professional literally overnight. Once I got the contract for U.S. Games, totally changed everything. And I used to have long conversations with Stuart Kaplan about this. We had a couple of really good, maybe 2 hour long telephone conversations about the work ethic and, time management, everything. Which
the creative really process is like it's an evolution. And I think pretty much, everyone I talk to about this, whatever their skill is, whether it's, the physical art, or they're doing the writing, or they're, creating the project idea, is that, you just have to put things in motion, because it's always going to be changing and evolving. And then the minute you get rid of that idea that it has to be perfect from the outset, that's the thing I think that holds, a lot of us back, right? Is that idea, like, it has to, it's like each thing, would keep redoing it, retooling, refining. And then each time it gets easier and easier, because you have you've done it, what it's like. But the first go around is definitely like, you got to dig deep. And sometimes the topic is, you have to dig deep on. So did you feel that this topic for you, Deviant Moon, because it's still like an incredibly popular card deck. I have the box here from the Borderless. I don't know. My light is shining on that, but did you feel like it was like you had to really dig deep within you, or did you feel like I got this, I know this is something I've been working on, I was meant to bring to life?
It came out. Like, I didn't even have to think. A lot of times I was watching the process happen before me as a spectator in the creation. It was like so built up. It was like a slingshot getting pulled back and finally let go. And it just, everything came out. The kitchen sink, everything. It just, everything, literally without thinking, just poured out. a lot of the ideas have no sketches or alternates or anything. They're just basically, they came literally out of nowhere. It was just something that was held up for so many years. And when I was finished with the deck, this was about 2007. I was finished and I was submitting everything to US Games. I felt like I broke. Literally, everything came out so quick and so fast and so easy in a way. But I was spending like 18-hour days working on this thing. I felt like I broke and that like there was nothing left. Like I drained the pond. There was no more water in there. And then all of a sudden, like I found out that by getting that idea through into reality, it also pulled a lot of other things through with it. And then I saw an unimaginable amount of ideas that I'll never get to finish in my life. But what came after it was another unexpected thing. It was like breaking through a barrier and everything came out. Like I don't have any dry spells where I can't think of ideas anymore, which is incredible. I used to sometimes have like a couple months where I couldn't come up with any ideas. Like it was just dry. I had a 2-year period where nothing came out back in the 90s. And after this, there's no way that could ever happen again. I mean, it just opened up everything. And the good thing is I haven't since then. The momentum has been building and building and building. And now it's like a merry-go-round. I just have to tap the bar and the thing will spin around and rotate without any effort.
I love that. That's a great way of describing it. Do you feel like that information or inspiration is being channeled through you? Like, you're getting downloads of information, or do you feel like, how do you view it? And also how do you contain it? You know what I mean? Because you gotta have boundaries too, right? You have other things happening in your life. How do you put that in, like, and modify it and contain it when you can't attend to it, say, or let the energy flow?
That's the frustrating part, because sometimes I'll have multiple ideas and it's like, which one do I work on? So it's hard process culling those ideas and really just focusing on the one that I think is going to be the best one for me. A lot of times I do feel it's inspirational, but I have to set up the intentional framework to be at a table working in order for that inspiration to have the mechanism to actually produce. If I didn't have the discipline to not watch TV, not do this, not, just focus on the art and time myself too, and get that scheduled in there. If I didn't really stick to that schedule, then it doesn't matter how much inspiration I would get, because it needs me as a conduit in order to facilitate those ideas. I hope I make.
Yeah, absolutely get it. And so, it's so interesting because I talk about this a lot to people when they talk about creative. So I'm not a illustrator or artist, but I do a lot of writing, and I've created 6 card decks, 2 more that are not that are now defunct that I did the writing for, but 6, and all different topics. And I always tell people, like, you cannot be creative if you don't carve out the space. You have to have the time and space to do it. You cannot be like busy and living your other life and doing all those things and be like creatively productive. It's like you need time to daydream. You need formal setting where you're going to sit and write. You need to schedule it into your schedule. This is my creation day, or this is the month I'm going to work on X. And so, and there is that like self-discipline aspect to it. So many people may have tons of creative ideas. If you can't, push it into like form, that's what we're doing. We have to give ourselves some parameters to put it into form. sometimes the ideas are just all out there, you know, we could catch them, but we got to do something with it. So I totally get that. And I can't imagine, you know, when you're getting, I know you've had like so many different things that you've been working on, and you have a day job. Would you share what the day job that you've had for quite a long time that you're going to be retiring from?
Each drawing and illustration in a high school, and 30 years doing that, and years before that working, trying to draw, trying to build a career in my own art was actually really hard. I feel like I developed everything in the cracks of time. 10 minutes here, a half hour at this lunch break, a lot of drawing in my car, believe it or not, you know, parked somewhere with a little mobile stuff, you know, working any little crack I could get. It's not the best way to do things, but if I didn't work through the cracks, and I don't think many people would have worked 30 plus years in the cracks of their life with a family, you know, kids, all that, whatever, and be persistent about it, you know, it's easy to give up, like really easy to give up. I had a point where I almost did give up. It was like, well, what am I killing myself for? I have a, you know, pretty decent job, whatever. And, you know, why don't you loosen up a little bit? And that was horrible advice. I never stopped working at all. It was always, if I had a vacation or a weekend, birthdays, it didn't matter. Not feeling good, I still worked in the cracks as best as I could. For the last almost 40 years since I graduated high school, I was always working. Like I said, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But you know what? All that stuff adds up and it compounds. Again, it's not the best way to do things, but that was the only way that I could do it. It was frustrating because there were some days where I couldn't work at all. It was like absolutely impossible. And the thing is, the ideas never stop. So it's a blessing, could be a curse. I don't know, but they just come in. They don't stop. So I have mountains of sketchbooks that are, if you looked at them, it's scribble scrabble, but it's one ideas after the other, just recording them and logging them in, because, you know, you don't trust your memory. You write everything down, whatever it is. So I have tons of those. And that's why I'm like at the finish line here. I can't wait to retire. And and I'm going to really hit it again full blast as soon as I'm out of there.
So do you think now that you'll have this big chunk of time, this will be your full-time gig now, that's what you're saying. You'll have retired. One question about that though, do your students generally know what you draw and who you are, and that you like this is like one of your amazing creations? Or is it like a hush thing? Yeah.
Say it. I don't bring it up at all. If they ask me, I'll say I'm a farmer or something like that. But they Google their teachers. So then they see, and every once in a while, I'll have a kid that'll come to me and be like, I didn't know you did this, blah, 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 blah. You know, this, I'm going to follow you now on Instagram or whatever. My art teacher told me I should tell them what I do. I'm a little more modest. Like, I don't come around, hey, look what I made or whatever. If they ask me, I'll show them. If they, you know, find out, I'll show them. And then I've had the reverse thing too happen, where they would find out on their own and then they don't talk to me anymore. It's a weird thing.
Wow. Yeah.
It must be some evil occult thing.
Some kind of fear reaction, right?
I've had many people like that who I don't go around saying anything, but if they found out what I do, you can tell they just totally disconnect you. People I've talked to for years.
Is it your specific art, like because of the topic of the way your art is, or is it the tarot, or is it a combination of both?
Maybe they don't or they think it's related to something evil or whatever. And they just totally, that's it. They just drop me like a hot potato. And I'm like, what happened? You know, Whatever.
Yeah, I know. You can't be invested in that. And that's other people's reactions. And it's just interesting how the tide has really turned in general on tarot and other divination things and the whole gamut of things, crystals and astrology and everything, where people are really, really interested in, exploring all of these areas for self knowledge, for self, actualization, that kind of thing. And so, and what people are attracted to, from my point of view, I get to go out in the world. I'm an author and creator myself, but I do get to go out in a sales role, and I get to see people's reactions. And I can tell you that we have like so many of our stores that like this is a staple item. This is a staple item. So it's exciting to be out in the world to see how the cards are out there and how people are how people choose and how people feel about the topics and stuff. So from my point of view, as a general broad stroke, I'm going to say like this is hugely successful, which it is, and accepted, and people are really interested in your point of view. And there's something, because like I said, I was the kid who was like getting, running away from creature feature and doing whatever. But there's something very like, almost endearing about the way you create some of these characters. I would say, like, they don't look as scary to me at first glance, maybe, but then they're like, they have this personal touch or personalities, which make it accessible.
Yeah, I'm not like everything's scary or whatever like that. I remember when the deck first came out. Now there's so many darker themed decks. For me, that was not a dark deck. It was just something from my imagination that came out. And like we talked about being alone in your room at night and you're just drawing. And this is just the style that evolved. It wasn't meant to scare or do anything. But when the deck first came out, there weren't decks like the Deviant Moon out there. And I recall people saying, "Oh, that cannot be in my shop. That burn that thing. That thing is evil. That's the worst thing you could possibly do." And then the tide, changed around. People actually took a minute and saw what the deck was really all about. That there was a lot of personality in there, and there's humor, and there's a humanity in there, even though they're lunar-esque type of beings, And there's a story to be told in every card, and it's not about scaring somebody for like a shock value or just some mindless horror kind of thing. And it has nothing to do with that. I'm not like that, so it doesn't really come out in my art. That's not my intent for those decks.
So let me ask you a question. You mentioned in the beginning that you're working on a Deviant Moon Oracle. How dissimilar or similar will it be to the Deviant Moon Tarot?
Similar, yet it has it starts to expand a little bit. It has a different feel, yet a similar feel to it. I don't know if that makes any sense. There is an idea for a sister deck to the Deviant Moon based on the sun, and this, I guess, would be the middle child, where it would be based off of an eclipse, a merging of the moon and the sun. So it's a little more colorful. It's definitely different, yet in that family. So it takes a little bit of the Deviant Moon and the future ideas for the sun deck mixed together. I have about 30 cards done for that. I have the ideas up to around 40, and I think that the deck will go up to 56. It'll be a 56 card deck.
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited. Excited. I'm always excited about, what's coming, what people are working on it, and especially to hear about that. I like the idea of that being kind of, merging two worlds, say, right? Merging the two sides of that. So I'll be interested to see how that all plays out.
Fit in the same drawing style too, to keep, because through the Deviant Moon, I started out learning how to make those cards, and towards the end, I was just flying through them. And towards the end of the Deviant Moon, I had to kind of keep myself in check because I didn't want the later cards to look different from the beginning cards, because it was a 3-year process. You start to pick up skills and you start to change things. And for this one, when going back to that style, there were so many other things that I could do now, but I had to kind of check it again. I had to keep it from getting too dissimilar in style to the Deviant Moon. So it's in that style, a little bit enhanced, but again, it has to be, contained a little bit. Otherwise, it'll look like a totally different entity.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that. And then whatever is coming next after that, I imagine, now that you're going to have a lot more time, you're going to be digging in. Anything else you want to share that might be down the road?
I have a whole project list on my wall here. So I have the Deviant Moon Oracle. I was going to do a few children's books with Stuart. That I started one, and then we had to put that one on hold for the Deviant Moon book. But I still have the ideas for that, the original children's book that we were going to do. But I also have a skeleton book that I want to do. I don't have a title for it. That one I'm kind of keeping locked away a little bit, but I really cannot wait to get to work on this thing. That comes from a story that I made when I was 7, but with all unleashed art style. Let's just say that there's nothing.
Oh, wow.
I really can't wait to get that one out and pitch that.
Awesome. And, I could go talk to you forever, Pat. I mean, I feel like when we met up, one story I want to tell you, and is that the year after we got together in Denver, the next year I was there, and Lynn and Arwin and I went up to Boulder and to go up there and check out stores and do whatever. And there was a guy on the street, and he was doing readings. And of course he was reading with the Deviant Moon. And so we come walking up, the 3 of us, and the guy's like, do you want a reading? And he's doing the cards. And we see it's Deviant Moon, and we're like, sure. So he pulls cards for us, and he's like dead on. He just pulled a card for each of us, but he gave each of us like the most direct, like dead on message that was exactly right. And then at the end, we were like, we work for US Games, and we know Patrick Valenza, and the guy just was like, he just like almost exploded. He was just like, wow, my God, this is amazing. And I just think in this world, what's so ironic about the whole thing is that, like, out of everyone, everywhere, it's like, it is such a small community, and it's such a small world of people that are, like kind of in those thoughts, or, in that same vein. So it was just thrilling. It was just really exciting for us to tell him that we knew you, and that this was our, US Games published deck. And then he was like, doing it out there, for the public of Boulder. And I just thought it was such a great tribute to your cards, and to, that excitement that I see people when they're using them, and when they're using a deck that they love, and so that was our great wrap up the year after we were together. We had you again, even though you weren't there. So I want to just finish by asking you, and I know you have a lot of, a lot that you're involved in, and now you're going to be wrapping up your academic life, your school life, work-wise. But is there any other superpower or special skill or some other interest that, like, people don't generally know about you, that, might be interesting to know? Like a special talent or something else that you're interested in that people don't generally associate with you?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I think I'm so focused on what I don't know. One thing I have is let me think. Which one should I tell you? I've been collecting art books lately, which is something unusual for me because I never really examined art before. You know, like I'm familiar with stuff, but I never like really looked at it. So I've been going on a spree, and every day I get from Amazon tons of gigantic art books. And one of my goals for when I retire in a few months is I want to spend a little while emulating various artists to try to absorb their visual knowledge and just improve myself. Like I've never improved myself artistically. As I said, it was never my goal to be an artist. It was always to just use art as a means to get my ideas out. But now at 55, I want to actually really focus on getting better and honing in on those skills. So that's what I've been doing lately, collecting. I have no room for these books. I mean, they're gigantic.
Maybe you'll have a art library somewhere. You can share that to, set that up for the.
And yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, it's been great talking to you as always. Really excited to see what's coming. What creations are coming. Best of luck with your retirement. That's a great achievement. And I'm sure it'll be, a sweet ending for you. And we'll look forward to chatting again.
Thank you, Allison. Great to see you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Great to see you as well. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.